coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. We face the east towards Jerusalem.
Heavenly Father Yahweh, most holy and true covenant Elohim, we give you all thanks and all praise in Yeshua's holy and mighty name, Father Yahweh. Thank you, Father Yahweh, for allowing us, Father Yahweh, to be your children, to come before you, Father Yahweh. We know, Father, that you have called us, Father Yahweh, to worship you, Father Yahweh, in truth, Father Yahweh. So we give you all thanks and praise, Father, for giving us opportunity, Father Yahweh, for allowing us, Father, to be able to see inside ourselves, Father, bit by bit, Father, for you can show us, Father, the error of our ways, Father, so we can repent, Father, before you, Father Yahweh. So maybe, Father Yahweh, you can allow us, Father Yahweh, to have some spots, Father, removed from our garments, Father Yahweh, so we can walk closer to you, Father Yahweh. So we give you all thanks and praise, Father, Yeshua's holy my name, for the opportunity, Father Yahweh. Heavenly Father, this is our 4th day, Father, of unleavened bread feast, Father Yahweh. So we give you all thanks and praise, Father. Allow us to come this far, Father, and allow us, Father, to finish this course, Father Yahweh, and walking on your path, Father Yahweh. So we give you thanks and praise, Father. If you know the enemy tries to sift us any way it can, Father Yahweh. So, Father, we ask, Father Yahweh, to allow us to be stronger, Father Yahweh, because you know, Father, when we weak, Father, Yeshua is strong, Father. So I pray, Father, allow us to lean unto him, Father Yahweh, so we can find our path, Father. Let your light be out to our footsteps, Father Yahweh. We give you all thanks and praise, Father. So let our brothers, speak your holy mighty word, Father Yahweh. Not do our ministry, Father, but your ministry, Father Yahweh. So we give you all thanks and praise in Yeshua's holy and mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, I'm not using it now. Okay. Just be careful with the camera and stuff.
She made the day that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah? Gotta catch them extra Z's, huh? Yeah. Up watching movies all night. I got some more for you, though. Yeah, I gave them all.
Gave me all. I gave them all. It's like, babe, we need to go drop off the fork. He was looking at me like,
No, yeah.
You know, she the type of the sister to give you your all. You know, she gonna give you everything. She gonna give her all.
I could just wrap them up and put them in
Yeah,
the
we was
thing.
trying to eat breakfast. Like, where are all the forks? And I had that thing. I was like,
Give them all to you.
I just knew what happened. I was like, I wondered that. She probably just didn't know. Yeah, right. I'm the one put them in the bag.
I saw.
I thought she broke the forks. I didn't know.
I was like, what? You know what? Yeah, that was,
And get out with them fingers.
Yeah,
Just wash it and just leave it there for you.
I was like, I was tired.
Yeah, it was a beautiful night, but it was a long night.
Yeah, when we were trying to eat eggs the next day, we definitely figured it out.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is YAH Yasharal. My brother Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And the title of today's Shabbat study is The First of the First Fruits Belong to YAH. The first of the first fruits belong to YAH. And We are in the second half of the fourth day of unleavened bread. We know that during the week of unleavened bread, the 7 days, we're to remove all leaven from our houses and our dwellings and not to ingest any food or items with leaven in it. And the process is to not to focus on trying to get, all this leaven out of your life, but focus on getting the spiritual leaven out of your life. It's the same practice of keeping the commandments. You practice keeping the law so that you can understand and continue working on keeping the righteousness of the law. So that's the whole reason you do the commandments, so that you can get to a point where you know how to have understanding, which is to depart from evil. So regardless of the situation, the commandment is that light to light up your path so you can make sure that you stay on that narrow path. Well, it's the same thing with the commandment regarding matzah, is to remove that leaven. So you shouldn't be removing leaven out of your house and then bringing that leaven, that same leaven you removed, back in your house. And that's why I said, get rid of it, throw it away. Don't give it somewhere or put it in the backyard and bring it in. But if you do bring some new leaven in, you track on something, it's the same principle as sin. When you track it in your house, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have this sin. I shouldn't have this leaven in my house. Let me clean it up. Let me sweep it. Let me get it out. Not to beat yourself up, not to quit, not to just go eat a big cheesecake or something because of it. No, just remove the leaven, get it out, pray to Yah, ask forgiveness, and try better not to bring that leaven back in your house during this week. So after the week of unleavened bread, we have the Feast of Firstfruits, which is another Moadim. It's appointed time. It's a special feast that's separated just to acknowledging that the first fruits belong unto Yah, and acknowledging who the first fruits of men are and who the first fruits of the word is. We're the first fruits of the word because we are the body. So we are the ones that were given it first. So we are the first fruits. But just because you're the first fruits don't mean you the only fruits. And that's how we try to act sometimes, that because we are the firstborn, that we the only born. No, there's other born.
That's right.
But you were born in this order and you have to follow that order. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the feast, but we're going to really focus on the why does that first fruits belong unto Yah and how wicked it is to rob that from him. So we're going to first open up in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4, we're just going to read 1 through 12. Jonathan, how was your first fruits? I mean, your unleavened bread, your wheat, you and the family. This is the first time with your YAH here. How's it been?
It's been good. She's eager to partake. She's eager to contribute. She's been eager to be obedient as well. So it's been real helpful, having her. And it really adds a lot of content to the holy days, to have YAH be on board with obedience and things like that. So.
And to have a help me to help you remove the leaven out of your house and out of yourself. Praise Yah, that's what it was all about. If we could have done that on our own, he would have did that. But we weren't meant to be that way on our own. This is why he gave us that gift. But before he gave us that gift of a YAH, he said, start working first. Do your work first. Tend to this garden. And once you tend to the garden, you show me the type of worker you're going to be, then okay, now I know what kind of help me to give you. Because if you were somebody that don't want to work, then he going to give you somebody that's going to put that fire up on your behind to make you go do what you need to do so y'all can inherit. If you somebody that works a lot and overworks, he might give you somebody to take off some of that load and help you with that and kind of get you to relax and, focus and enjoy the fruit of your labor. So he's going to tailor you according to your works or your job or what you have for the kingdom. And in choosing a wife, you have to look at those type of things. How is this going to glorify the Most High in this union? So we're in Genesis chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 12. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Timothy Holly. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Ariel Smith. Good to see you, Boker Tov. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Robert McCall. And Shabbat Shalom, Sharina Woods. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. I hope everybody's enjoying their feast. And Shabbat Shalom, Pancho R.S. Campbell, who shared some information with us. We're always open reviewing information, especially from other servants of the Most High.
Hallelujah. Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 4, and verse 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
All right. So why both of them are offering unto Yahweh as they should, but why do you think Yahweh had respect unto Abel's offering and not unto Cain? Let me hear from somebody a little newer. Wesley, why do you think that the Most High had respect unto unto Cain, who brought to Abel, who brought the firstlings of his flock and the fatness thereof, versus Cain, who brought of the fruit of the ground?
I think he probably because he offered his best, the best of what he had.
Excellent.
And probably, he just offered whatever without really caring about it, caring about much about what he was offering, just kind of make an offering. Figure, well, I'll just make an offering, that's it,
Right. So that's like somebody who's keeping the commandments like a checklist. Well, hey, listen, I stole from that brother, but hey, look, I killed that sheep. I had him already lined up next to the other sheep for the other stuff I did. So I did it. You're going to have to accept that because I kept your commandment. Then you have another brother who did the same thing. He lied or he stole from his brother, and he was hurt. He was hurt already in his heart. And because he loves the Most High and he had remorse for it, he offered his sacrifice according to the law and had even a more humble, contrite spirit because he had to kill an innocent animal because of his transgression. So there's a difference in spirit. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And not only how you do it, what was the spirit behind how you did what you did. So you're absolutely correct. Now we're going to validate that out of the Hebrew to prove exactly what you said. So if you look at Abel's offering, it's the firstlings. So the Hebrew word for firstlings is a word that is a root word of what we're going to get into later. It's Bekorah. Bekorah. H1062. Bekorah. Spelled Bekorah. And that is the firstling of man or beast. Abstractly primogeniture. Birthright, firstbornling. I don't have no clue what primogeniture is. I don't know. Jonathan, you know what that you ever heard?
Look that up later.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's literally the firstling, the firstborn, the first thing that came out. And then not only did he give the firstling or the firstborn, he in turn gave the fat thereof. And that doesn't necessarily mean just the fat on him. Not the meat part, but the fat. But the Hebrew word for that, for fat, is heleb, which is H2459, spelled CHELEB, heleb. And that's from an unused root meaning to be fat, whether literally or figuratively, hence the richest or choice part. Now, that's what we want. We want the richest part of our stuff. When we cook something, we get something. Hey, listen, I want the best piece because this is mine. I developed this. So I cooked this for myself. So, of course, I'm going to take the richest choice piece. So that's your nature. That's your flesh to do that. You see kids do the same thing. You put the stuff out there and you cut it in half. That's why we had to make that rule. You cut and not pick. Because, we going to naturally, human nature, grab for the what's going to please the flesh the most. But despite this, for somehow, Abel received the spirit of Adam and understood how to please the Most High and said, not only am I going to give the firstlings, the first thing that came out, which is the firstborn, the most honored one, but the best pieces of it, the choice pieces. If you look at the sacrifices that the priests make, the priest gets certain pieces. He gets the choicest pieces. He's not getting the piece by the behind or something like, where it be filthy or whatever. He's giving the best piece because that belongs unto Yah. You have some, Elder?
Yeah. You can also say that this is where we had division among belief, among dedication. You can say that Abel and his love of the truth, love of, let's say, the spirit of the law, not just the letter of the law, he gave the best that he had. He wanted total truth, with a broken and contrite heart. So that is what you can say developed, or let's say continued, a line of brothers and sisters who want the truth, who want to follow the truth with a real heart, giving all that you have, trying to get answers, trying to do just before Yahweh, trying to receive the blessings that he wants to give us. But you look at Cain's line, Cain just followed the letter of the law, didn't care much for the love of the law, so you can say he did not love the Most High, because he did not want to get the best. He didn't want to give respect to the Most High. So you have these belief systems that came down the pipe down that do what you want to do. And if you don't like it, if you don't like my acceptance, if you don't accept what I give, then I'm not worried about you. I do what I want to do, and you can't tell me any different, because I am trying to follow the letter of the law. But you're not being real with the people around you. You're not giving that love. You're not giving that truth. You're not being a representation of the law, what you're supposed to be. Because you're not showing, your heartfelt desire in truth. You only feel your heartfelt desire of, that's all I need to do. I don't need to do no more than that. That's good enough. They don't like that, so what? I did the letter of the law. Don't worry about it. So it's the intent of your heart. I mean, if we look at it, you just mentioned earlier about, your ex-brother Jonathan about his Isha, I mean, he gave a good report about his Isha. Well, how do you want your Isha to love you? Do you want to make her love you? Or just give her this letter and say, okay, you didn't follow that, and that's good enough? Or do you want her to love you because in her own heart she wants to love you? People don't realize that, how serious that is. You want your wife, you want your husband to love you because they want to love you. They want to do the best for you. You don't want to make them or just follow this thing and I'm good with that. It don't work that way. You will not be fulfilled. You will not receive that blessing that Yahweh has given you on high, because you're not putting yourself all in. So this is what I get out of this.
Right. And that's absolutely right. He was holding back. He wasn't given the best that he has, and that's the only thing that will be acceptable for the Most High. And an individual that's doing it in that manner, where I'm just doing it to do a checklist, keep in mind this is like the first people, so it's a little different with them. But with us, we don't have that excuse, because we had a Mashiach. We got the whole perfect example laid out. We got countless examples of people who did the wrong thing, and this is what happened. People that did the right thing, this is how they were blessed. And people that did the wrong thing, and the Most High blessed them by helping them repent from it, the blessing that they received after they repented. So we have all those excuses. So, examples, them, a little difficult. Adam, obviously, you can understand how we felt. But with us, we got countless and countless of generations of families and examples. Even though we don't have much of it here in real life, we got the culture where we're trying to get back to. And that's why it's so important for us to study the righteousness of the law, not just the letter of the law. But you can't jump, like Christians want to just jump to the righteousness of the law. You got to know what the law is first, so you know which is going to be the righteousness of the law. It might have been right in this situation, but how do you know the difference?
There's another part to that too. You're going to run up on dealing with this, our holy days, versus the world's holy days. Even when my brother Abel talked to his brother about his offering, it's the same as when, you can say we talk to our family about your offering, the truth of it. He was expressing total truth, to his brother. Because you could say the judgment was, let's say Yahweh said, I don't respect your offering, Cain. So Abel had and understanding his heart. The mystery of Yahweh's truth in his heart, because he gave all he had, so Yahweh showed him the truth of it. And he tried to express that to his brother.
Right.
Like we try to express to our families. And it's not like you cannot find the truth, whether me giving to you verbal or you reading it or doing your research yourself to find out, because it's right. It's an encyclopedia.
Right.
Okay? It ain't got to be in the Bible. Just it's also an encyclopedia what it is. So if you don't do the research yourself, why are you angry at your family for trying to give you truth? Why do you hate them so much or disrespect them when they're only giving you truth? Why do you wait to somebody else in the rest of the part of the world that maybe you have a level of respect for to tell you something, to go and research it, and then you realize, whoa, my family was telling me that all this time.
Right.
But then you come against your family. What did Cain do, as we're going to read? He came against his family from telling the truth.
Right.
And Saul said, if I tell you the truth, are we enemies now?
Right.
You know, so it really shows, it acts out. The play rolls on and it shows you what's going to happen.
Right, right. The flesh is always lusting against the spirit, and they will have enmity amongst each other. And at the end of the day, baby, when they're in the womb, their eyes are fused closed.
Yeah.
They can't see. They're blind. They're not seeing any real light in there. And you can try to get that baby to see all you want. He's not going to see. So we have to understand when we're dealing with some of our family members and even some of our brothers, their eyes are fused closed. And you can't cut it open. You can't do anything about that. All you can do is present that information so that they can hear. They hear it so they can hear. And when it's time for them to see, then maybe they'll be able to see, but at least they've already heard it. And again, we're not our job is not increase, and we're actually going to read about that as well.
Genesis, Bereshit chapter 4, beginning at verse 4 again. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And Yahweh said unto Cain, why are you wroth? Why are you wroth? And why is your countenance fallen? If you do well, shall you not be accepted? And if you do not well, sin lies at the door, and unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. And you shall rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother.
All right, hold on. Let's stop right there. So this is why it's always important to, it's why it says, if you know to do good and you don't, it is sin unto you. Because once you go down the route of knowing to do well and choose not to do it, sin is waiting right there at the door. And unto you shall be his desire. It's going to be looking to stick to you. It's going to be looking for the opportunity to stick to you, because it founded a new host. The adversary, the evil spirits have found a suitable host. Just like when you carry yourself clean. A brother was asking me just yesterday, well, what do you think about the food laws? Do you still have to keep that? I said, yeah, because you got to keep your vessel holy. This vessel doesn't belong unto you. It belongs unto the Most High. And the same way, if you keep your vessel holy, that's what the Holy Spirit looks to dwell in. It looks to dwell in a vessel that is clean and sanctified. Well, guess what? If you carry your vessel defiled, the evil spirits look to dwell in a vessel that's defiled. The criminal don't go look to break into Fort Knox where you got security and satellites and all that. They want to break in you with the broken window in the back, with the real dark patio, with the upstairs window you left open. They want to go the easy route. So the adversary, the devil, when he sees a vessel is unclean, he knows them angels got to stay a certain distance or kill them. So since the angels are at a further distance, it got more room to try to get to you. It got more room to try to get into your vessel and cause you to transgress.
This is what you said just now, brother. Once you get your vessel clean, if it's possible you get your vessel clean, you can't just walk away from a clean vessel. You have to continually exercise cleanliness in that vessel. And that means you have to fill that vessel with Yahweh's spirit. Because if you don't, it's just a clean vessel waiting for some other inhabitants to come along.
For 7 more spirits,
7 more spirits
more wicked than the worst
That's
to
right.
come in, because you have no hedge of protection
That's right.
around. Because you cleaned it up. You went and took an immersion, but you inside your intent is not to change your walk. So when that happens, it leaves the angels have departed. The angels have moved a certain distance that because they're not going to completely depart because the Most High sees the end result. So he's going to make sure that, the angel's still there to lead you, but he can only go so far. Because if the closer he get to you, it's just like the closer YAH getting to you, then he got to judge you. And that's why YAH got to be way in the third heaven, because if the closer he comes down, he got to judge.
Bro, that's where that other verse comes in. I think those, what do you say, if you turn from the plow, you are not worthy of me.
Right.
It's because, for one, when you was working on that plow, your vessel, was getting clean.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your garment, you understand, was being washed. You know what I mean? It was being cleansed because you're doing the work of the Most High. You're doing good. But if you turn away from that plow, all right, then your vessel, it's like at that period of time, it's still clean.
Right.
But you're turning away. Where are you turning to?
Right.
So you're turning not to the truth of the word anymore. Now you're turning away from the Most High. Now you're turning back to the world. Mm-hmm. You're turning back to destruction. Now your vessel is in harm's way of being fouled again. Now you're not worthy of the Most High because you turned your back on the Most High. Now your vessel is getting defiled.
Right.
It's getting unclean now. So that's why you have all the enemy coming to inhabit your vessel, because you're getting more comfortable with the world's ways. You're not having this, this hand in the front stopping you saying, no, brother, no, sister, that's not the way. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, the arms get shorter and shorter and shorter, pulls back shorter and shorter. Now the enemy's all in your face and you loving him, or you're more comfortable with the enemy, ways of the enemy, because now you don't see that hard, sharp stop, hand in your face action. Don't do it.
Right. You
get more comfortable with the world. Like, what's the word we say? What's the word? When you say you get people that listen to bombs all the time, all right? But yet they comfortable. Bombs don't desensitize, right? They desensitize to the bomb blowing up around it because they're happening so much.
Right.
They know it's destructive, they know it's damaging, but also they know if it's happening way over there, that's not strong enough to hurt me, but it don't even bother me.
Right.
But yet, if you bring something other than that bomb into the environment, something they never saw, they're so intrigued about it, you understand? Oh, I'm interested in this now.
Right.
So, the world is the same way. If you listen to all this and seeing all this destruction, all this foulness stuff all the time, you're inundating yourself with all this dirt, all this pain, and you're becoming, that's right, babe, you're becoming used to it, desensitized to the world.
Right.
Your heart is becoming hardened now.
And that's the adversary's plan with his marketing.
Right.
It's to desensitize you to righteousness. So he's constantly pumping these visions in your face, all this stuff in your face to get you to the point where you're so used to it that it doesn't raise an ear. Like, wait a minute, something is not right. And Shabbat Shalom, Sister Lorana Chambers. Shabbat Shalom, Eva London Dominique. And good to see you, Brother Melvin Shelley. Shabbat Shalom. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Yehuda Israel. Good to see you too, brother. You and your brother as well. All right, go ahead and finish that up.
All right, Genesis Bereshit chapter 4 and verse 8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against his brother Abel and slew him. And Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel your brother? And he said, I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries unto me from the ground. And now are you cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall not henceforth yield her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth. And Cain said unto Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear.
All right, so we stopped at verse 12. A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth. And interesting, when you look at that whole perspective, there's a spiritual aspect and then there's also a physical aspect. You this is something for you to think on your own. It's not for me to give you the answer. But who is a fugitive and a vagabond in this earth? Where, they are completely physically different from everything in the earth. Something to think about. All right,
brother. See when it said verse 9,
Mm-hmm.
when Yahweh had asked his son, Cain, where is your brother?
Mm-hmm.
Because he sinned and murdered his brother, because he's not walking the right path,
You got attitude.
he had the audacity and the boldness to lie to the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
When he says, I know not. You lied, partner.
Right.
You know exactly, but you lied. See
Right.
how far that sin and disobedience can get us?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you look further than that. Their father, Adam, didn't lie to the Most High, but he hid from him because of his sin.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said he blamed his wife, the woman that you gave me. He didn't take it and say, okay, I know I ate, because she gave him I ate, but his son went a step further because you disobeyed Yahweh, and now you all got kicked out his land. The sin originated in Satan, but now you carried it.
Right.
Now your son went a step further.
He inherited it.
Yes, he inherited. Now his son went a step further. You just boldly lied to the Most High, like you don't know. He don't know.
Right.
I mean, look where his heart at the time had gone.
Right.
So from then on, look all the things that we've inherited.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're talking about. We have to look at how the domino effect from then until now.
Right.
And now we have to learn how to pick up them dominoes, put them in order, and realize the error of our ways so we can get back to the Most High.
Right. And we've all inherited that flesh from our fathers that wants to do self-serving of the flesh.
Yeah.
But how many of us are inheriting that spirit from our fathers?
Yeah.
Our spiritual father. All right, so let's move on. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 28. Bereshit chapter 28. And, before we even get into giving the first fruit, we got to first validate the fact that, that who gives us what we receive. And before he even gives a law of first fruits, we already owe Yahweh tithe. We already owe him. And, pastors will try to take advantage of that and try to, put you in a position where, you owe, you need to give me money, so forth and so on. But it's how does that benefit Yahweh by me giving you money? How's Yahweh getting glory? So if I'm in an assembly or a church or, a group and they're asking me to tithe, which is the law, Yahweh didn't, y'all didn't through Yahshua cut off the law of tithing. He cut off anything involving the shedding of blood. That's what he cut off. So the tithing is still intact. It's just when you do so, how is this going to glorify the Most High is what we need to look at. All right, so we're going to start chapter 28, and I just want to read the end of this. I'll start at verse 20.
Verse 20. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if Elohim will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on.
All right, so Jacob, which we know is Israel, his name is changed to Israel, so we are the sons of Jacob, which makes us the 12 tribes of Israel, a nation. And he's saying he's vowing a vow, and this vow was vowed for us. We weren't there to say yes or no. So this is on our bloodline, the father of our nation. And he said, and if he will keep me in the way, behold, I send an angel to keep you in the way. Beware of him and listen to him, for he will not pardon your iniquity. So he gave us exactly what he vowed to Jacob, right? And he said, if you will give me bread to eat, he gave us manna in the wilderness. And he said, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out the mouth of Elohim. And he gave us his word. So he gave us that. And raiment to put on, your clothing. Yah gave us a spiritual garment, a wedding garment. He gave us a spiritual covering. He covered us in the wilderness. Gave us coats of skin. So he did all these things from creation all the way into now. All right. Verse 21.
So that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahweh be my Elohim.
Okay, so I come back into the house, to the house of Yah, into the tabernacle of Yah, till I come back into New Jerusalem, till I can get back in. This is all that we needed. All we needed was food to eat and a covering. This is what we needed, and an angel to lead us in the way, to keep us so that our flesh doesn't send us off into the wrong direction. So he gave us all that. Then what was his promise?
And this stone, which I have set for a pillar, shall be Elohim's house. And of all that you shall give me, I will surely give the 10th unto you.
So he has a 10th of everything that he gets, because he's acknowledging this is who's giving this to me. My physical hands may have went out and did something, but somebody had to allow the situation to arise, to allow whatever fruit to manifest. So he's promising a 10th. So this is why all the money you make, all the increase that you get, whatever blessing you have in your life, a 10th of that, at least a 10th. So even with the spirit, we talk about, I know Jonathan, you and I have talked about the multiple, the bridegroom and the multiple wives that are going over there and running out of oil. And sometimes you got to be careful. You don't want, I don't have enough oil for you. I remember you mentioned stuff like that. I don't have enough oil for you. You can get to a point where you just don't have enough to share with everybody, because you're going to be without. They're going to bring you down. Well, a 10th of that spirit that you got, of that oil, already should be set aside. So you should never be in a position where you got no oil to help nobody.
True.
Because the 10th should be there. But you can't give them the 90th% of your oil, because then what you going to do? Some carnal thing going to pop up in your life, and then you ain't going to have anything. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Brandon Pierce. Good to see you. So let's move on. We're going to go to...
What you just said, brother, that's deeper than you know right now, because you expounded on something that really opened me up just now. And I think the best way I can put it right now, brother, is that we're going to be tried very hard in areas that we are most weakest in. And sometimes we feel we don't have enough oil to continue to walk down the path correctly. Because we're going to sin. We're going to err in our ways. We're going to sin through our anger. Now, Yahweh didn't say we couldn't get angry. But he said we shouldn't sin through our anger.
Right.
But how are we going to not sin through our anger if we low on our own oil? Because sometimes we get to the point where we delivering our oil out in so many ways to keep on the path that sometimes we don't fill ourselves up with enough oil to keep going down the road and dealing with all the areas that need that lubrication from friction. Because when friction hits us too hard, there ain't no lubrication there, we get hot and we burn.
Cause a fire, right.
That's right, it can cause a fire. And I think that's what, I can't expound too deeply in it right now. I'd rather have more scripture in my hand to do that. But if we think about it, secularly, if we don't learn how to lubricate those areas, we're going to err in our ways. And sometimes we err in a way where it's really terrible, not just for ourselves, but for others. Because we're not being we're not standing in the right character to be an ambassador before the Most High and before His children, because we err in our ways and we showing the wrong side of who we should be. We showing the secular side of what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to show the spiritual side. So I will say that we need to be more, I guess, kinder to our brothers and sisters when we hopefully notice that a brother or sister is a little low on that oil. And remind them, look, something don't sound right, brother. Something don't feel right, brother. But I think maybe you need to get a little more oil on that, a little more lubrication on that. And I think words and attitudes and your action to come out better. You know, as my brother comes before talking about keeping the peace, you know, respecting the peace, or what was the term?
Even defending it.
Defending the peace. You know, because we won't be able to do none of that if our oil is low.
Right. And Yahshua gave us examples of how we deal with that. He gave us an order of how we lubricate and how we go through a certain thing so that we don't get to a point where we're just sitting around here talking about people.
Yeah.
You go to the individual. You go to them first. They don't listen. And we're going to deal with this a lot being amongst our people. You're going to deal with all these type of points of contention. You go to the individual. If they don't want to hear you, then you bring your brother with you or your sister with you, so you have two witnesses to make sure, you know, that you're at least not being biased. And if they don't want to hear that, then you go to the elder, you know, or the priest of the assembly. If they don't want to hear them, then you go before the whole congregation.
Yeah.
And that way it's established that ain't nobody picking on nobody, ain't no opinions, ain't no bitterness, nothing.
No.
And then the matter is handled within the family. You don't go outside the family and call the police or go outside and go talk to strangers that don't understand your law. You deal with things in order. And anytime you deal with things out of order, there's going to be that friction that you're talking about. And then we have to work that lubrication to deal with that friction, because it's going to happen, period. And that's why we have brothers and sisters to lean on. So we're moving on. We're going to Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6. And let's start this at verse 1. This is going to lean on the point that the Most High is going to allow us to inherit things that we didn't work for, that we didn't create it. So if somebody gives you something that you didn't do nothing for, immediately you should be like, here, let me give you a portion. Thank you. I wouldn't have had this if it wasn't for you. And allow them to say, no, I'm good. I'm good. Elder, can you grab that incense, please?
Yeah, yes.
You be, oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm cool.
Just about done too.
We should probably get Weston to start handling that incense.
Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 6. We'll begin at verse 1. Now, these are the commandments, statutes, and the judgments which Yahweh your Elohim commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you go to possess it. That you might fear Yahweh your Elohim, to keep all his statutes and his commandments which I command you, you and your son, and your son's son, all the days of your life, and that your days may be prolonged. Verse 3. Hear therefore, O Yasharal, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahweh Elohim of your fathers has promised you in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahweh our Elohim is one Yahweh.
Yes, Shema.
And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might.
And that's the only acceptable offering unto Yahweh. Go ahead.
And these words,
chapter 6 in verse Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 6.
And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And it shall be, when Yahweh your Elohim shall have brought you into the land which he swore unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Jacob, to give you great and goodly cities which you built not, and houses full of all good things which you filled not, and wells digged which you did not, vineyards and olive trees which you planted not, when you shall have eaten and be full, then beware lest you forget Yahweh, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim from the house of bondage. You shall fear Yahweh your Elohim and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are around about you. For Yahweh your Elohim is a jealous El among you, lest the anger of Yahweh your Elohim be kindled against you and destroy you from off the face of the earth.
All right, so what he's telling you in verse 11, that if you keep these commandments, then you're going to inherit houses full of all these good things. And that goes back with Yahshua. My Father has many mansions, and I prepare a room for you. You're going to inherit something that you didn't create. There was many of them. And then it says, wells that you didn't dig, he's going to provide a source for water. Vineyards and olive trees that you planted not. And when you receive these things, do not forget your Elohim. And forgetting your Elohim is honoring somebody else with this increase that you receive. Whether you honoring yourself by keeping it all, turned yourself into a god. Or whether you turn around and give another god credit for it. All of that goes into the same bucket of forgetting your Elohim that gave you the opportunity to receive all these things. So we want to remember that's right there, right by our Shema, to let you know, don't forget Yahweh. I gave you this. I'm telling you, you're going to get these things before you even deserved it. That's how merciful. The son don't deserve no inheritance. He automatically get it because he's a son. But what you can do is forfeit it, give it up, waste it. Let's stop right there. Let's go to Numbers by Midbar, chapter 13, and we're going to see some of this stuff that we inherited.
Brother, that's a blessing that you said that, because Yahweh is teaching us and warning us and telling us the blessing we're going to receive before he delivered it through Deuteronomy 28, dealing with the 14 verses of the blessings, and then the rest of the chapter with the curses, because we will not follow him.
Right. He's telling you, he's like, what kind of boss does that? Tells you, listen, this is Jonathan. I know you've been pissed off at this other job that you've been working on with these Egyptians, but guess what? I got a new job. Come work for me. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna pay you $100,000 a year. All you gotta do is handle these things. What are you writing up? What are you doing? Oh, it's $100. It's your payment. It's $100,000. Your check. All you got to do is go to the bank and pull out money when you need it. What kind of boss do that? Pay you $100,000 up front to do a job? You haven't done anything. Anybody else would have to give you half, now and half. He's giving you everything up front. And he said, look, and there's a bonus that you can get too. That's what you're really working for. The bonus, $1 million. The $100,000, your base. You're really working for that bonus, them big figures, them 7 figures. You get that if you complete the job. Even if you mess up, just fix up what you messed up, you get the job. It's a fair thing, but it's up for us to say, nah, I don't want to do the job. Even though we signed the contract, took the check, did everything, but we don't want to do the job. And this is what we do when we turn our back on the Most High.
Where we going?
Numbers by Midbar, chapter 13. And we'll start this at verse 1.
And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, Send you men that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Yasharal. Of every tribe of their fathers shall you send a man, every one a ruler among them. And Moshe, by the commandment of Yahweh, sent them from the wilderness of Paran. All those men were heads of the children of Yasharal. And these were their names: of the tribe of Reuben, Shammua, the son of Zaccur; of the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, the son of Hori; of the tribe of Yehuda, Caleb, the son of Yephuneh. And
that was interesting. We went over that in some of the other classes. Brother Jonathan brought up that Caleb was actually an Edomite. Yeah. That's wild. And if anybody has a question pertaining to that, send us a message and we can send you the scriptures on that. Several scriptures, all in the Torah, proving that. Go ahead.
And given a portion of in Yehuda.
Right. And this is talking about not only just a portion, he was a head. He was a head of the children of Yehuda. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Of the tribe of Issachar, Egal, the son of Yosef. Of the tribe of Ephraim, Hoshea, the son of Nun.
Which is Yahshua, the son of Nun. Go ahead.
Of the tribe of Benjamin, Palti, the son of Raphu. Of the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel the son of Sodi. Of the tribe of Yosef, namely of the tribe of Manasseh, Gadi the son of Susi. Of the tribe of Dan, Amiel the son of Yemali.
All right, so you notice it says of the tribe of Yosef, namely of the tribe of Manasseh. So Yosef is a physical tribe, but it was split into two half tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh, with Ephraim being Oshea the son of Nun, whose name was changed to Yahshua the son of Nun by Moshe. And then also you have Gadi the son of Susi of the tribe of Manasseh. So those aren't a full tribe, those are half tribes. All that would be the branch of the tribe of Yosef. Verse 12.
Verse 12. Of the tribe of Dan, Amiel the son of Gemali. Of the tribe of Asher, Sether the son of Mikael. Of the tribe of Naphtali, Nabi the son of Vafsi. Of the tribe of Gad, Geuel the son of Maki. These are the names of the men which Moshe sent to spy out the land, and Moshe called Oshea the son of Nun, Yahshua.
All right, so you see here in verse 16, Oshea the son of Nun, Yahashua or Yahshua. Verse 17.
And when Moshe sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, Get you up this way southward, and go up into the mountain, and see the land, what it is, and the people that dwell therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many. And what the land is that they dwell in, whether it be good or bad, and what cities they be that they dwell in, whether in tents or in strongholds, and what the land is, whether it be fat or lean, whether there be wood therein or not. And be you of good courage, and bring of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first ripe grapes. So they went up and searched therefore, so they went up and searched the land from the wilderness of Zin unto Rehob, as men come to Hamath. And they ascended by the south, and when they came to Hebron, where Amon, Shishai, and Talmai, the children of Anak, were. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Mizraim. And they came unto the brook of Eshcol, and cut down from there a branch with one cluster of grapes, and they buried between two upon a staff, and they brought of the pomegranates and of the figs. The place was called the great brook Eshcol, because of the cluster of grapes which the children of Yasharal cut down from there. And they returned from searching the land after 40 days. And they went and came to Moshe and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Yasharal unto the wilderness of Paran, to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them, and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him, and said, We came unto the land where you sent us, and surely it flows with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moshe and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it.
So there was obviously a different spirit over Caleb, because the Most High is trying to give them first fruits of the land, and because it was the time of the ripe grapes, it was been the first fruits of the land. And I can't recall when is the barley is first fruits, and then you have the wheat is Pentecost, Shabbat. So grapes would be tabernacles would be around.
So.
I believe so. The first fruits of the grape would be tabernacle, because it's cooler outside.
You start planting the fruit now, and then
Right.
you start reaping it
September,
later.
September.
Yeah, so it would be around that time. So that's kind of the timeline of where they were going. And the Most High is trying to get them to inherit. You know, you're my firstborn. You're gonna get this inheritance. Period. Just like he tried to give Esau. Yashak was trying to give Esau, and he just rejected. He didn't want it. That was disrespectful. He despised that inheritance. So this is what the children of Yasharal would do. We were despising the inheritance. We're saying, look, I'm trying to get you to inherit this land, this first fruits. So it was given unto us, And now you have a different spirit that says, no, I don't want to receive this glory that the Most High has given us, which is the fat, the glory of the land, the honor of the land is the fatness thereof. And they're turning it down. But there was a different spirit on Caleb that said, I don't care what it is. The Most High said, this is what was for us. We can do it. We can take it. Because this is our blessing that has been given unto us. And we didn't work for it. I've never seen nobody turn down free food or free stuff. We our hands right open, but then we say you can get this, but you know, it's some danger over there. Nah, I don't know. Is it really worth it? But it shouldn't be no question when it comes from the Most High. After you've been, ain't like you just walked outside and the door was open and that's how y'all got out of Egypt. Then nah, I don't know if Yahweh was with us. You know, that could be just an idiot over here that left the door open. Yeah. But when they parted the Red Sea, what is your question?
Destroyed the military that Mizraim had?
And that was just one, that was the last thing.
Yeah.
They did other things before. It was plagues after plagues. If everywhere got light in your whole, and everywhere dark in your neighborhood, and Yahweh say, I'm telling you, I'm going to black this whole place out, but your house. It's pitch black. And everybody looking at your house, you watching cable. Watching the game. Yeah! What other sign do you need? He did this beforehand. Now, if that happened and nobody told you nothing, people might think, well, hey, maybe he had a generator or something. But when somebody tell you this in advance, what are we questioning? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 31. But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Yasharal, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eats up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And so we were in their sight.
All right, so when you see that word giants in the fall, that's where you know, there were giants in those times. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about great men of great stature. All right, and this same spirit is the same spirit that is in us when we say, you can't keep all these commandments. There's no way. This is too great. This is ludicrous. This is too many things. I can't do all this. You mean I can't eat this? I got to do 613. First of all, 613 commandments don't apply to you. That's Jewish. You ain't no Levite. You ain't got to do all this. You're not a woman that got to be put away for 7 days when you on your period. Everything don't apply to you. So that 613 is doctrine. But at the end of the day, yes, you can overcome this. If Yahweh said you will overcome this to enter into the land, that means it could be done. You have to forfeit that. And that's the same spirit that we take in when we say, oh, we can't do all this. We can't keep the commandments. I can't give you the first fruits because then what am I going to eat later? Ain't nothing going to be left there. I can't give you this money to this poor person because I don't know if I'm going to get paid tomorrow. Well, how you got paid today? The Most High allowed you to get paid today. Now, if you was broke and had absolutely nothing in your pocket, then it wasn't for you to give to nobody.
You got to take care of your family first.
You didn't have nothing. So your mind frame is can you give me something? Because I got to feed my family. That should be your mind frame. But you got money in your pocket. The Most High allowed you to have that. So let's move on. Let's go to Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 3. Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 3. So he's telling us, you know, that Yaakov vowed this vow, 10th of what we got, since you took care of my you brought me home, you gave me clothes, you gave me food, and you sent your angel to lead me in the way. So I owe you 1/10 of everything we have. And now you seeing point blank, you seeing Yah saying, look, here's all this stuff you're going to inherit. Go spy it. Bring it back and show the people this great place that I'm bringing into. Yeah, even like Yah didn't know what kind of land, what was there. Y'all knew what was there. He said, listen, this is for y'all. See these big clusters the size of people's heads of grapes. Look at this great stuff.
All that good food.
You know, look at all this. This is what's waiting on you. This is what it's like. This is what it's like when you're messing with me. You're messing with Yahweh. This is what it's like. You're gonna get the fatness of the earth. So how wicked is it for us to turn around and not honor him after he gave it to us in advance, gave us advance payment. And we get up there and thank everybody, but don't thank the person. You know, I want to thank my neighbor. I want to thank, you know, my coach for doing this. I want to thank God too. You know, I want to thank everybody, but you're not going to thank your wife or your husband that was right, that was training you, holding the bar, doing all this stuff, showing you, pointing you in the direction. Said, matter of fact, listen, this is mine, but you can have it. I'm going to give you this because I want you to have the best king. And we just deny them. How disrespectful is that? And that person likely has sinned against you. The Most High has done nothing to us but bless us. So we owe him that. And this is the mind frame we need to have when it's time for these offerings and it's time for these first fruits. It's to say, listen, y'all, I'm happy. It was a pleasure for me to give back to you a portion, the best of what you have given me.
What about that verse right there, brother? We be not able to go up against the people. Wait, when you was in Mizraim, you couldn't go up against those people either.
Right.
You understand? And this is the problem we keep falling into all the time. We forget what he's done for us. Or we become faithless in what he's done for us.
Right.
And that's how we make our big time error. You know? Because if you in Mizraim and you go, you couldn't fight the Mizrites.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you was a slave to them, and then you have your father that you cried consistently to for years, 100 years to be delivered. When it finally happens and you see the power thereof delivering you from the Mizrites, you come to this land and you're afraid to go up against them when you was afraid to go up against the people you were slaves to.
Those people were afraid of the Egyptians.
Right.
But
So
you
why
afraid of the people
now?
that's afraid of the Egyptians?
This is the error of our ways right here. Why did we slip back into that darkness so quickly?
Flesh, all it takes is a little bit of fire up against you, and we start to burn. That's all it takes. Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 3, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
My son, forget not my law, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to you.
So forget not his law, but let your heart keep my commandments. It means you got to get a new heart to keep the commandments, because your old heart is full of stone.
That was the answer.
Go ahead.
Let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them about your neck and write them upon the table of your heart. So shall you find favor and good understanding in the sight of Elohim and man. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart, and lean not unto your own understanding.
And how you trust in Yahweh with all your heart is when you trust his salvation. Right. When you trust Yahshua, this word. And lean not into your own understanding, because we leaned on our own understanding and saw the results of that. And that got us to the point where we were so battered and abused that we had no place to look but up. Got to our lowest point, and we looked up, then we saw the Most High. And you'll be in situations where you've like, I've got out of the situation before by doing this on my own. Mm-hmm. But when you get spiritual, then you get to the point where I'm going to trust these commandments, and I'm going to walk to the best that he gave me. All my heart, all my mind, all my soul, everything that I have, all my strength to these commandments. And when you do that, he's going to provide the comforter for you. He's going to provide the Holy Spirit to show you how to depart from evil in the situation. Because keeping the commandment alone is not always enough to depart from evil. Because the commandment also tell you an eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth. Go ahead.
Verse 6. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahweh and depart from evil. It shall be health to your navel and marrow to your bones.
And that is the Yahweh care. You know, you got Obamacare. You can go in, you can pay some money and hope that the doctor give you something. But this is the Yahweh care. Keep his commandments, and it's going to be health to your navel. And your navel is where your strength is. Your hip. Your hip is the strongest joint in your body. So your navel, when you go in Job, it talks about Leviathan, and his strength is in his belly. That's where he's weakest. That's his strong point. So if you can take that out, then you can take his strength away from him.
Centering yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Center yourself for your midsection.
The chakras, right? One of the heads in Egbe Ogun, they call it one of the heads.
Heads, yeah.
In African culture. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Honor Yahweh with your substance and with the firstfruits of all your increase.
All right. So honor Yahweh with your substance. That means whatever you get. And the first fruits of all your increase. So not only are you honoring them in everything that you have, hey, Yah, I honor you. I honor you that I got this through you, but also the first fruits of all your increase. Why? Go ahead.
So shall your barns be filled with plenty, and your presses shall burst out with new wine.
That's putting all your trust in Yah and not leaning onto your own understanding. Your own understanding says, I only have 10 pieces. If I give a tenth, which is 1 piece, that means I got 9 left. And there's 11 days. I know this is going to last me a certain amount of days. I'm going to be 2 days too short if I give this. No, I trust in Yah that when I do that, I'm going to give him a tenth. I'm going to give to the stranger. I'm going to share and do whatever. And he's going to provide for me. And he might not necessarily physically do it himself and come down in the spirit of a smoke and just, it appears. Somebody might take care of you, or you might get a double harvest. It just might be even more bountiful.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I got a question with that one.
Mm-hmm.
These are the verses that are used in all these different churches to rev the people up into believing that usher forth all your tithes and so forth is going to bless you. When they don't realize that, where are you giving your money?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you giving this increase? And where is your increase coming from?
Mm-hmm.
They believe it's coming from the Most High.
Right.
Why should it come to the Most High? Well, you're not keeping His commandments. You're not
Exactly.
following His ways.
Right.
You're just believing that if I give, I'm going to give back.
The Most High hates you then.
You understand?
If he's saying continue doing what's going to kill you, then that's hate.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't hate your brother. When you see him doing something that's going to cause him to die, you got to say something, or else you hate him. That's the commandment.
See, that's the mistake that we've been taught about giving our substance.
Mm-hmm.
People say, well, I guess it don't matter where I'm giving it, as long as I do my part and give it. No, you're being blind.
Right.
Does a building have to have what you're being taught? What? This is the mark of the beast?
Right.
Does it have to have a red painted man with horns and a pitchfork and a tail? They say, oh, don't give unto that church.
Right.
Unless you believe in that.
Right.
But this our enemy comes to us subtly.
Right.
You have to look where you're giving, why you're giving it.
Right.
Is it going to be used as your substance that Yahweh has given you being used in the manner in which He says do it?
To the people that's supposed to receive.
That's
it.
right, supposed to
Poor,
receive it.
The fatherless, the
The
widows,
widow, the
and
homeless, the stranger.
Right.
So if it's not being done for that, who are you giving to? What about the person you give it to, his character or her character?
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing in their life?
Right.
Are they totally sold out for the Most High? Their actions and the words that they're speaking, what they do, like the Pharisees, they give in the word, but they give the true word, but they didn't follow that word.
Right.
So today it's even easier to find out. Read what the word says. You know they're not giving the truth,
Right.
word verbally,
Right.
and you can see when that their actions are not walking in the paths. So you're doing 2 double evils right there, and you're learning how not to walk in Yahweh's paths.
Right.
So it's not so hard to see, but unless Yahweh allow you the scales in your eye to fall off, you're not going to see it.
Right.
So as my brothers mentioned earlier, hopefully we're hearing it first. Maybe we're hearing it to believe it. Then Yahweh might allow us to see it.
Calm. Exactly. Anytime you give to anybody anything, now you give it through a pure heart, obviously, but you also want to consider whatever I give somebody, how is this glorifying the Most High?
Yeah.
How is this glorifying the Most High? You see a poor person in the street and you give him some money. That's glorifying the Most High. I don't care what unless you see the man standing next to the crack there, like,
Yeah.
Can you give me some money? I'm $1 short for this 8 ball. Here, okay, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's obvious. Y'all not getting no glory in that. A poor person is humble enough and sick enough to come up to you and ask you for something, and you say, you know what? I don't have to do this. I just did my offering. I just paid my tithe. Here you go. I'm not asking you no questions, and I'm telling you furthermore, who gave this to you? I didn't give you. The Most High gave you this.
Most High.
I could have made a left instead of a right, and I would have never saw you. So give honor to the Most High. That's why I always wear my YAH hat. Give honor to YAH. He's the one that he sent the servant to come about you. And that's how you validate things. And any deed that you do, how is the Most High going to get glory out that? Now I walk up to that brother and punch him in his face. Y'all may get glory. If y'all said, you got to defend your family, whatever, he get glory out of that. This servant defended his family. But you just walk up to somebody you don't like, punch him in the face. Praise Yah. No, you're not finna do that. You're not finna dedicate that to Yah. Yah ain't getting no glory for you hitting his child. Nothing. And it's just that easy to validate. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 11. Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 3 and verse 11. My son, despise not the chastening of Yahweh, neither be weary of his correction. For whom Yahweh loves, he corrects, even as a father, the son in whom he delights. Happy is the man that finds wisdom, and the man that gets understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things you can desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retains her. Yahweh by wisdom has founded the earth, by understanding has he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down dew. My son, let them not depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall they be life unto your soul, and grace to your neck. Then shall you walk in your ways safely, and your foot shall not stumble. When you lie down, you shall not be afraid. Yea, you shall lie down, and your sleep shall be sweet.
All right. So this is how this is your confidence level, your level of confidence, your safety measure. If you are doing the best you can to walk in these commandments, your safety level is going to be there. And as you get into the word, certain tests are reserved for certain servants. You're not going to give a baby the test that you give an elder. An elder is going to get a harder test than somebody who's just brand new in the walk, because he has to learn how to build his safety, his confidence. So this is how we build our confidence. We keep the commandments and the situations that present to us. We learn to keep that faith. I'm cool. I don't have to worry. Y'all got even if it looked like I slip, I'm going to slip into a comfortable stance because the Most High is guiding my steps. Because why? Because I'm special? No, it's because I'm giving him all that I have. I'm walking to the best of my ability. And when I'm not, I try my best to correct the situation. And this is why you're not a good example of the Most High. Of his children, when you're afraid of everything. Oh, I'm afraid if I don't put 17 locks on my door, somebody gonna break in. I'm afraid that somebody gonna fight me in the street. I'm afraid cops gonna shoot me. I'm afraid of all. That's what the Gentiles do. They're afraid of everything because they're not walking in righteousness and they don't know Yah. They don't know his mercy. Now somebody who's fearless, because there is no fear in love. Fear brings torment. Doesn't mean that person is walking in perfection. No, that just means that person knows Yah and how merciful he is, and knows that how I can correct it and how I can work to elicit that type of favor in their lives. Go ahead, Art.
Verse 25. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it comes. For Yahweh shall be your confidence, and shall keep your foot from being taken.
Yahweh shall be your confidence. You putting your confidence in man or woman, you gonna be left hurt. Go ahead.
Withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of your hand to do it. Say not unto your neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when you have it by you. Devise not evil against your neighbor, seeing he dwells securely by you. Strive not with a man without cause, if he have done you no harm. Envy you not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the froward is an abomination to Yahweh, but his secret is with the righteous. The curse of Yahweh is in the house of the wicked, but he blesses the habitation of the just. Surely he scorns the scorners, but he gives grace unto the lowly. The wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be the promotion of fools.
All right. Now let's go to Exodus, Shemot, chapter 23. And we're going to start getting into this Feast of Firstfruits. Exodus, Shemot, chapter 23. I'm going to start this at verse 1.
You shall not raise a false report. Put not your hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness.
All right. So raising a false report is also when you gossiping about somebody that you don't know the truth about. That's a false report. That's why we got to be careful when we hear these rumors on the internet about, oh, you know, this person done shot this guy 15 times or this, that, and the other. And that's why Hebrews are taught not to judge off of hearing something. We are taught to seek diligently into a matter, then place a judgment on the matter, whether you need to rebuke or whether you need to give some kind of judgment to the matter. But we raise false report when we just run with something. And when you're dealing with gossip with people, that's just exposing what's in your heart because you believe what you want to believe. When you love somebody and somebody says something good about them, did you know that Mr. Jones just, you know, got promoted and got this, that? You're going to go around telling everybody because you love that person, you believe in your heart. But when you hear something about your enemy, well, the enemy, you know, he done fell and broke his leg 15 times. You're going to go around telling everybody because you want to believe what you want to believe. And that's human nature. Don't get me wrong. But we as Hebrews, we are supposed to judge angels. Angels. So we have to understand the order and do our best to have righteous judgment. And it begins with your own judgment because it's easy to find yourself innocent. Every man is innocent in his own eyes. But you got to be real with yourself and judge yourself before you even get to a point of judging somebody else. Matter. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 2. You shall not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shall you speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment or pervert judgment.
And we are, we guilty of that all the time. We tell a partial story. Man, I went outside and his brother just swung on me. I had to break his arm. He tried to attack me. Oh, really? Yeah, why? I don't know. The brother just came out and just, you know what I'm saying? He just started swinging. Oh, really? Well, what happened the day before? Well, I mean, I didn't know that was his wife. Oh, so there's more to the story.
You just bent that truth all twisted.
That's lying. That's lying, and this is what we do. We want others to wrest judgment. But when you want the truth from somebody so you can make sure that you're on the side of righteousness, then you tell the whole story. You tell the whole story so you can get the best of what your brother or sister has to offer you in the matter. Because, yeah, just because somebody is a person who you may deem as not more intelligent or not more experienced or whatever, the Most High can use any vessel to guide you. And it's up to you, the person, if you feel that you are thinking of yourself more highly than you are, at least use your knowledge and wisdom and understanding to try to hear the voice of the Most High in whoever. A baby walking in here or your neighbor or whoever.
Verse 3. Neither shall you countenance a poor man in his cause. If you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall surely bring it back to him again. If you see the donkey of him that hates you lying under his burden, and would forbear to help him, you shall surely help with him. You shall not wrest the judgment of the poor in his cause. Keep you far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous slay you not, for I will not justify the wicked. And you shall take no gift, for the gift blinds the wise and perverts the words of the righteous. Also you shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the heart of a stranger, seeing you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. And 6 years you shall sow your land, and gather together the fruits thereof. But the 7th year you shall let it rest, and lie still, that the poor of your people may eat. And what they leave, the beasts of the field shall eat. In like manner, you shall deal with your vineyard and with your olive yard.
So even in the 7th year, you're supposed to let your land rest and lie still, so the poor of your people may eat. So that there's a whole year where you're supposed to be allowing people to gain the goods of what you have. When are we doing that? When are we allowing people to have a portion of our stuff? We always got to count everything that we have and give it away, and that is holding our blessings back. That's stopping us from receiving all the blessings that the Most High wants for us in our lives.
I hope everyone can see how neglecting these principles causes social decay. Because if y'all didn't put that there, I know for me personally, if y'all didn't put, don't reap in the 6th year, leave that for the poor or whatever, I would have just been reaping like crazy. Like, this is mine. I planted this vineyard. But what that does is that not everyone is allotted the same portion. So when they're growing poorer and poorer and poorer, and you're growing richer and richer and richer, though you're fat and happy, the rest of the society that you dwell in is in straits, and they're in a oppressive environment.
Right.
And what that turns into is an upheaval, people being distraught. Then that's when you see the desperate things happening, the robberies, the murders, the hatred for one another. So if there isn't a nature of generosity being woven into a society, you're going to see what we have now, where about 30 years ago, not 30 years ago, yeah, probably 30, 40 years ago, you would have saw people paying 60 cents for a gallon of milk or something like that. Whereas now it's like $3 to $5.
Right.
Or people buying up land, so now everybody has parted the land, and all they do is drive the rates of the land up. So where is it the time where you're going to release that stronghold that you want and everything? So if you don't put a clause in where people are generous, what's going to happen is that whole society is going to start growing carnivorous fangs. And you're going to start seeing a lot of ravenous behavior for over pennies, over a couple bucks, which we see now. Whole cousins, families, aunts, uncles fight their whole lives over the $300 that they didn't get back in 92. That's a waste, because with this clause in the 7th year, you can let it go. You know what? Let me relinquish that. That's for your own soul, so that you know that life isn't about the abundance of things, but what you contribute unto the poor, the fatherless, and what you do unto YAH, which is through contributing to the poor and fatherless. You minister unto YAH because he hears their cries and seeks to answer their prayers.
Right. That was the righteous welfare system.
Indeed.
There should be no poor, because when you got everybody keeping these commandments, people eating. You look at other countries, there's plenty of poor people. Jamaica full of poor people. There's a lot, but it doesn't necessarily have to be as wicked as things are here. A poor person is not always a thief just because they're poor. They're a thief. But if he has no choice, because that's all he can do, he's not getting his just deserves. He can't go in somebody's field and reap the outside and feed his family. Yeah. Then what do you think he's going to do? He's got to do, that's what said, will not despise a man who steals bread because he's hungry.
Yeah, hungry.
But he's going to have to repay that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. So we create this, and the system knows that this is why they created these projects. They created this oppressive environment to cause our people to be more susceptible to crime.
Yep, and you look at the sabbatical year, the Jubilee year, when we're all supposed to come together. Any one of your brothers waxed in heavy debt or even waxed poor, you come around and, let's help such and such. He done got sold to the Philistines for 300.
And that was what they were talking about. Was, is this such a fast? Aren't you supposed to turn around and feed the hungry? Because right after you finish starving for a day, because that's what we feel like, because we eat so well, starving for a day. You're supposed to remember how these poor people feel like that every day. So when they blowing that shofar and they letting all those poor people out of your bondage because they sold themselves and sold their daughters, then you're supposed to, what you think they're going to do? They broke, they poor, you the only source of money. Now they're just standing around. They going right back into bondage because you didn't even give them something to get them on their feet.
Yeah, you're supposed to free
like even like the story we read the other day. The Samaritan. The Samaritan turned around and he said, "Listen here, take care of this man, and here's some more for when I leave. And if he need any more, give it to him when I come back. I'm gonna pay for it." That's a Samaritan. That's a citizen of Samaria, which may or may not have been an Israelite. Who knows?
Yeah.
But supposedly they were the ones that weren't keeping the commandments, and he had enough righteousness to help this man get on.
That's right.
Because he knew the man didn't have nothing, he just got robbed. And this was an Israelite because he coming from Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Verse 12. 6 days shall you do your work, and on the 7th day you shall rest, that your ox and your donkey may rest, and the son of your handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of your mouth. 3 times you shall keep a feast unto me in the year. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. You shall eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded you, in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it you came out from Mitzrayim, Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty.
All right. So it's telling you in this Feast of Unleavened Bread, there is a free will offering that we have to make, and none shall appear before me empty. So when we went over unleavened bread, we know this is a free will offering. You're supposed to give as Yah gave you, according to what he gave you, which is going to be different for every individual. But another clue, it says nobody should appear before me empty. That means just have something. At least you have something, and you're okay if you're giving something. That's different from a first fruit offering, which we're going to see is a certain amount we have to give. Y'all, the salvation is in these details of following these instructions. Because when you want to get that check from somebody, you showing up on time, you're making sure that you dress, you wear your uniform, and you make sure you're on time on Friday. You don't call out on the day you're supposed to get paid if you got to go pick up your check. Because then you got to show up there faking and coughing to get your check, whatever. So we go through all those details. Well, we need to be detail oriented with Yah's offerings. The free will offering is according to what you got. That's the difference between the first fruit offering, which we're going to read that in a minute. Go ahead. Verse
16. And the feast of harvest, the first fruit of your labors, which you have sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when you have gathered in the labors out of the field. 3 times in the year all your males shall appear before the sovereign Yahweh.
All right. So the first fruits of your labors, which you have sown in the field. Go ahead.
Verse 18. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, neither shall the fat of my sacrifice remain until the morning. The first of the first fruits of your land you shall bring into the house of Yahweh your Elohim. You shall not see the kid in his mother's milk.
All right. So it's saying in verse 19, the first of the first fruits of your land you shall bring unto the house of Yahweh your Elohim. So you bring that unto the Levites. So the first is Reshith, which is H7225. Reshith is the first. Spelled Reshiyth. Reshith. And that's from the same as H7218, the first, in place, time, or order, or rank. Specifically a first fruit, beginning, chiefest, first fruits, principal thing. Then the word for first fruits is Bekor. Bekor, and that's why the feast day is Bekorim, because it's celebrating the different first fruits that you're having. You're having one for each harvest, like they just mentioned, unleavened bread and the first fruits, which is the Pentecost. And then you have also your first fruits of your ingathering, which is your tabernacles. So first fruits is Bekor, which is H1061. Bekor, spelled Bikkur. Bekor. And that's from H1069. The first fruits of the crop. First fruit. Hasty fruit. Fruit. Ripe fruit. So we are to offer the first of the first fruits of the season. And that's what they were just talking about. All these are harvest times. Those 3 times in the year. You're supposed to offer what's according unto you. But in this first, after unleavened bread, when you're offering, you also have that first fruits offering, which is a feast day designed to honor the first fruit of man, which is Yahshua, and the first fruits of us, of the body, which is us, the children of Yasharal, the firstborn. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions. For my name is in him.
All right. So again, goes right back to Yaakov. If you will keep me in the way and lead me back unto my house of my fathers. The house of your father is Yahweh, your temple. And the house of your carnal father, if you an Israelite, is Israel, is Jerusalem, because you only an Israelite by blood if your father. So that would be his house. So he's bringing us back in, and he's feeding us, and he's telling us, look, I provided all. You're going to inherit stuff you didn't do. I sent you to a land that these heathens took care of that and wiped all this stuff. And this is what you getting. You getting that. So by right, how can you not give a portion, the best portion, to the person that gave you? And see, that's the difference between Abraham and Lot. Abraham was keeping these first fruits. He was keeping these holy days. He was doing all this stuff. Lot came around. He chose what he thought was the best. He said, give me that land with the dudes with the bent wrists. They look like they got nice. They look like the land looked real nice. You know, sure is a lot of dudes in here. You know, what's going on over there? But hey, that land looked real nice. He should have said, Abraham, Abram, there is no reason I should have been here. Yahweh told you to get you and your wife and get up out of here, but you took me. So you pick. You pick. This belongs to you. I'm not going to take the best of what I think is the best. But see, Yahweh will confound the wicked in their wickedness. And he ended up picking the worst place because he's judging based upon his eyes. But if he would have judged righteously, maybe Abram would have went there and took that land. And maybe he would have dwelt somewhere safe. And then maybe Abram would have been like, all right, well, you know, this ain't for me, and left. But because he chose to take the best and not honor the person that gave him what he had, he paid the consequences of that. All right, so let's stop right there. We're going to go to Matthew chapter 21. And now Yahshua is going to give us a parable, the parable of the tenants. He's going to give us, break this down for us so we can understand how wicked that is to not give the first fruits of what you have to Yahweh.
Say Matthew what?
21. Matthew chapter 21. And we're going to read 33 through 46. And this is very similar to how, you know, when you are entrenched in your sin, sometimes you can't come directly to that person, you know, when they caught up, just like David, when he was caught up in his sin, especially when they're in a position of power where your life could be in danger. You want to be very careful. You still got to do the job, but you got to be very careful how you approach unto them if you want to protect your life and their life. So he came to Nathan, the gift, came unto David and had to give him a parable so that he can understand the situation from a third person point of view and not see himself. Then once he makes the judgment call, then he tells him, well, that man was you. And now he has that instant remorse. Now I get it. You have broken past my initial blindness by putting it in a way where I can receive it. So Yahshua does the same thing, and this is why he talks in parables, because if you don't have a heart and a mind to doing righteousness, then you're not going to get the parable. You're not going to receive the spiritual message. But you may have a heart and a mind to do something, but you are like every other man. No man has the power to retain the spirit at all times. You might be slipping or falling. Matthew chapter 21, and we're going to read verses 33 through 46.
Hear another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard and hedged it round about and digged a winepress in it and built a tower and let it out to husbandmen and went into a far country.
So who does this belong to?
The householder.
This man did everything. He planted, hedged it. He created man. He hedged it and put his commandments around him. He digged the winepress to produce fruit. He provided the water, the sunlight, built a tower so that you can look over all this and make sure everything was good, and then put it in the hands of his so-called servants to take care of everything. And said, surely, you know, I done blessed them with all this, let me go back to where I come from. Go ahead.
And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen that they might receive the fruits of it.
So when first fruits came about, the time of harvest, go ahead.
And the husbandmen took his servants and beat one and killed another and stoned another.
So we beat the prophets. We beat the Mashiach. We beat our friend that tried to tell us, man, you know Easter is pagan. We beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Again, he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise.
So after we done killed the prophets, he sent some more prophets. And furthermore, let me send you an assembly too. Let me send as many people. Let me 12 disciples on top of prophets. I'm going to send all these people to you. Because maybe it just was the spirit of righteousness wasn't powerful enough. You needed more power. So I'm going to send more. Surely you'll listen. Go ahead.
But last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, they will reverence my son.
So after you done killed all the servants, surely they know that this is my heir. He's sitting on my throne. Surely they will honor him. Why? Because they honor me. They respect me. I'm the man who created everything. I authored everything, so surely they're going to respect me. Yeah, they don't respect him because maybe they don't think that they came from me. Maybe they think they came from somebody else. So I sent my son, he's in my image, look like me, so there ain't no mistake in this. Plus, they know who he is. They know who he is. So surely they're going to honor and reverence my son. Verse 38.
But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir. Let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. When the owner therefore of the vineyard comes, what will he do unto those husbandmen? They say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out all his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their seasons.
All right. So that's even carnally, we understand that concept. But we don't put ourselves in that place because we think of ourselves more highly than we truly are. The Most High is what gave you the ability to produce any fruit whatsoever. Period. He created everything. He created the carbon that's in our body that made us who we are. Everything. And lent it to us and said, here's this temple. Keep this temple and produce this fruit in this garden. And I even put a hedge about you and protect you. And I gave you spiritual eyes to see and ears to hear so you can look over your fruit and your harvest and make sure everything is okay. But at the time of harvest, when it's your time to do righteousness, surely you're going to give me my fruits back. You're going to give me the best of what you have to offer. But instead, we kill the word. We despise the word. We despise anybody that comes to us and tries to correct us and then sit around looking like, well, this belongs to me. I can do what I want to do with it. But then be surprised when judgment is waiting at our front door. This is what we are doing when we do not honor the Father with the first of our first fruits. And that's not always just talking about your money or your fruits you build out. The best, your talent, everything you have. You didn't create your talent. If you got up in the morning when you were a kid and you went outside and you ran and you were faster than everybody, you didn't create that. Now you go to the Olympics and you beat everybody. You still didn't create that. Now you worked on it. You went and you did some work. You worked out. You ate right. You went to listen to the coach. But you still didn't give yourself them fast twitch fibers. Or the slow twitch fibers if you running long distance. Somebody gave you that. Somebody made that. And your parents might have physically gave it to you, but they didn't decide, well, I want him to have a bunch of fast twitch fibers. Here, let me design this. No. The Most High did that. So we have to give him the best of what we have beyond first fruits. First fruits is just what's dedicated. A day dedicated for that. But in our everyday walk in life, the best that we have to offer belongs unto Yah. 10th belongs to Yah. But even the 10th, the best of what we have, belongs unto Yah. Finish that up, Ar.
Verse 42. Yahshua said unto them, did you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, the same has become the head of the corner? This is Yahweh's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore say I unto you, the kingdom of Yahweh shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bringing forth the fruits thereof. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder.
All right. So if the you fall on this stone, this rock, this cornerstone, Yahshua, you're going to be broken. You're going to have a broken and contrite spirit because you realize how wicked you are. But at least you didn't go under the ground into the grave. You hit the foundation. So you're able to get back up if you want to get back up. But that word comes on you, that's judgment. That's that stone being stoned to death, and you're going to be ground to powder. You're not going to survive that when he judges you righteously by this word. So this is why he gave us this grace period and say, look, this stone supposed to be falling on you, but I'm going to allow you to use that stone as a foundation to keep you standing upright. Yashar. Finish it up, Al.
Verse 45. And when the chief priests and Pharisees heard his parables, they perceived that he spoke of them. But then they sought to lay hands on him. They feared the multitude, because they took him for a prophet.
All right. Let's move back. Let's go to Leviticus, YAH chapter 23. And we're going to look at this law pertaining to the Feast of Firstfruits. YAH or Leviticus chapter 23. And let's start this at verse 4.
Leviticus is right after Exodus and before Numbers. Right before Numbers.
Leviticus chapter 23. And we're going to start this at verse 4.
These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahweh's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahweh. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. And the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. But you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh 7 days. And the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work.
All right, so he's giving those feasts, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And he's also talking about the Pesach. And notice he's giving you the decrees of something. And then when he's starting over to something next, he's going to say, and Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying. So he's letting him know, furthermore, I'm talking. Now, what we've been taught, many of us from Jewish doctrine, that Feast of First Fruits is somehow the 16th day of Abib. Now, if you go into Antiquities of the Jews, you can see this is what the Jewish people were doing, being head by Edomites. When you had an Edomite king in power, when you have a wicked king, the people are going to be wicked as well. So we had that going on, and now somehow they tying it inside unleavened bread, which is not possible for all of this, because you eating bread on this day. So you can't eat bread and all this type of stuff in unleavened bread. So how are you going to eat bread for first fruits if you eat unleavened bread? It don't add up. It can't work that way. It doesn't add up. Go ahead. You offering a meal offering.
And another one I came across recently is that someone was saying that unleavened bread isn't a Shabbaton. So I was like, because
So what is
the description of a Shabbaton is,
rest?
you know, doing no servile work and resting.
Even that work, even when you say rest, that's Sabbathon. I mean,
So
it's a holiday.
I was pretty much like, then what do you call a Shabbaton? What's the difference between unleavened bread and tabernacles, where the descriptions would cause it not to be a Shabbaton? Like, what is that threshold of
So
a
they're
Shabbaton
saying
now?
they're saying tabernacles. That was the Sabbathon.
Just because the text literally says Shabbaton, it doesn't literally say Shabbaton in unleavened bread. Because it doesn't, you don't see Shabbaton there, so he's saying that it was omitted on purpose. But I was like, nah, because the description of Shabbaton, when it's first mentioned, is doing no servile work. It shall be a Shabbaton, you know. This Shabbaton, no servile work shall be done.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's interesting. You know, folks, I can understand that perspective if you lack that understanding. So with that, you know, hey, somebody is reading into it, at least it looks like they have a mind to the law.
Mhm.
They're just missing that understanding. So with that, all you can do is provide the facts. And,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how I don't see how that's going to benefit you. What you can call it a Sabbathon. I don't care what you call it. At the end of the day, you still gonna have to follow the instructions to do to rest.
do no servile work.
So, you know, those are the kind of arguments that you kind of just be like, well, bruh, at least explain to me how you got this understanding. Okay.
Or what changes, since it's not called a Shabbaton, what's going to be different from the ones that are called a Shabbaton?
What is it? Shabbatan? I don't know. It's something different? Shabbatin? I don't know. I'm not a Hebrew expert. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them, When you become into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
All right. So this is how you know the difference between the offering that's made in unleavened bread, which is going to have, you know, some meat. It's going to be meat-wise, person-wise, and then the offering in first fruits. A free will offering is, you know, Jonathan could have cleared $1 million last year. Probably, you know, close. Might be off a little bit. But I might have netted $10,000 for the year. Jonathan can give $11,000, and it's more than what I can possibly offer. And I could have gave $99,000 because I live with my mama and she paid all the bills, and I don't need to do anything. So I'm giving him the best I have. That's completely different. One is giving the best they have. The other one is giving, you know, a portion of what they have, which ain't gonna really be much to him. You're a millionaire to give that much. But at the end of the day, it was a free will. Yahweh said, you got the will. I'm gonna test you. I'm gonna prove you and let you prove in your heart where you place the Most High and what you're gonna give to the Most High. And we're using dollar amounts when it's really not dollar. It's about giving yourself. You know, one person might say, I'm gonna dedicate and I'm gonna come here every Tuesday and I'm gonna read, and every Shabbat I'm gonna read and I'm gonna do works and I'm gonna counsel people. Another person say, I'm just gonna show up on Shabbat and I'm gonna read along. Other person might have the ability to do so. Other person doesn't. Completely different. You offer what you can offer. Now, it's not to compare one person's job to the next, because it says every man has their calling. There's several calling to do what? But at the end of the day, free will. This sheaf is a specific amount. If we look at what sheaf means, it's literally omer in Hebrew. And omer. Elder, how much is an omer?
Let me see. I know I wrote it somewhere. 23 something.
And verse 10.
Hold on.
It's a tenth of an ephah or something. Or what is
I
it?
think it was a tenth of an ephah.
Something like that. How much is an ephah? I don't even know how much ephah is. But either way, it is a specific measurement. Omer is H6016. O-M-E-R. Omer.
One sheaf equates to about 1/10 of an ephah.
Yeah, there is. 1/10 of an ephah. So from a H6014, which is Amar, properly a heap, that is a sheaf, also an omer, as a dry measure. So it is a dry measure, a specific amount of your best of what you have you're supposed to give. So he's not even telling you, give me all your first fruit. He's saying, just give me a tenth of an ephah. Going right back to what Yaakov promised, a tenth. of what I have, I'm going to give unto you. So that's the difference between, this is how you know first fruits cannot be in unleavened bread, cannot be that offering that you do in unleavened bread. Because it's a dry measure, specific amount, and it just says you can't show up empty-handed on unleavened bread. So that means you show up with just 1 pence. You showed up with something. That's the best you can offer. So that's another clue to let you know that first fruits cannot be inside unleavened bread. Now, we were taught that because the source of many of our teachers came from Jewish Talmudic doctrine. But if you weren't taught that, would you read it that way when it clearly shows you they're moving on to another feast? Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, brother, I really wanted to stay in for a second. And isn't there a division between verse 8, verse 9, verse 10, when Yahweh is talking about and speak to the children of Israel about dealing with first fruits? So that tells you right there, there's a division between unleavened bread and first fruits.
Right. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, so you don't even know when he spoke. He could have spoke to him on different occasions. You don't know. But you know, hey, there's more. Furthermore, and it's not mentioning unleavened bread. Go ahead.
You can't have unleavened bread and first fruits. You can't have first fruits and unleavened bread because you people eat. You can have bread in first fruits.
And you can't have bread in unleavened bread.
In unleavened bread, you
Right.
can't have bread.
Right.
So how can you put it together?
Verse 11. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath. The priest shall wave it.
On the morrow after the Sabbath. This is how you know when it happens. It's the day after the Sabbath. So you know it's always going to be on the first day. And how you know it's not talking about the Sabbathon, is which would be the first day or the seventh day of unleavened bread, because it's using the word Shabbat. Shabbat is sanctified. That is completely, there ain't going to be no holy days that's going to fall on the Shabbat. If your holy day falls on the Shabbat, you off. Because it was sanctified. He sanctified. That was one of the first things he did. Hallowed the Sabbath day. It's completely separate. So it cannot be, when it's talking about using a Sabbath for a marker, like it's going to do in Pentecost, it uses the term Sabbath. If it's talking about a day that is a rest day, that is a part of the Moadim, it uses Sabbathon. Point blank. So that's another clue to let you know it's completely different.
The part that's interesting to me, now that we going over it, is that the person I was talking to about that Shabbaton issue was interpreting it from a strict literal interpretation, being that because he didn't see unleavened bread being categorized as a Shabbaton, he didn't believe that it was a Shabbaton. But yet, his first fruits was the 16th, the day after the first day. So I'm like, then what indicator are you using?
How do you know that that's a Sabbath? It doesn't say
It
that
doesn't
that's
say
a
it's a Sabbath
Sabbath
either.
either. Exactly.
So there has to be there's some inference that has to be done here, or some deductive reasoning.
It's called Jewish logic. That's what the Jewish, in this book right here, Flavius Josephus, right here, the Antiquities of the Jews, you see several things, flaws that they were doing. One, they were keeping first fruits on the 16th, where there's no ancient record of that. Dead Sea Scrolls, Qumran calendar, the ancient documents, nothing shows them doing it on that day. But Jewish people do it that day, so rather than trying to figure out the right way to do it, we try to figure out how we can be like the Greeks, how we can be like Ashkenaz, how we can be like, the Ukrainian and the Russians and the Germans and all those people way over there in the cold area. We want to, because we trust them more than we'll trust a brother that looked like them in the dashiki. Nah, he's got to be wrong. Where he from, Wakanda? He got to be wrong. He got to be wrong.
Verse 13, or is it verse 12? Verse 12, and you shall offer that day when you weigh the sheaf, and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahweh, and the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, and an offering by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor, and the drink offering thereof shall be of wine of the 4th part of a hin. And you shall eat neither bread, lechem,
Which, okay, now, the meal offering, you don't offer that with leaven. You don't put leaven in that meal offering. Because that, if you go back and read in Exodus, it talks about not offering the leaven of your first fruits offering with leaven in it. So this is what was given unto Yahweh. That's different. You're not putting that. It don't say anything in there about adding leaven. It's just saying, it says meat offering, but that's flour.
It's flour.
That's
grains.
flour.
Grains.
Right, or meal, a meal offering, grains. But then when you go down to verse 14, and it's telling you, you can't eat all this other stuff until you made that offering, and it includes bread, lahaim. Lahaim. It talks about that. So it's obviously not talking about the meal offering, because then why would you mention you can't eat of the meal offering until you've offered it? It's completely separate. It's bread.
Mm-hmm.
And you shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears until the selfsame day that you have brought an offering unto your Elohim. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
So even when you're making you're doing your unleavened bread, which you're not supposed to have any bread, it's telling you right now you can't eat no bread until you make that offering. So how are they going to tell you eat unleavened bread for 7 days, but don't eat no unleavened bread until the 16th when you make your first fruit offering? How does that add up? Unleavened bread starts the 15th day, and you got to eat unleavened bread for 7 days. So if anything, if you want to make it in unleavened bread, you got to do it on the first day. You got to do your first fruit offering on the first day so they can stay within, so you can actually keep the other commandments. Mm-hmm. It don't add up if you look at the logic, the basic logic. Go ahead.
And you shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears until the selfsame day that you have brought an offering unto Elohim. It shall be for a statute forever throughout your generation in all your dwellings. Verse 15. And you shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
All right. So if you first fruits is on a Sunday, the next Sabbath is 7 Sabbaths from there. 7 Sabbaths. So if this was talking about counting from a Sabbathon, it would say Sabbathon, but it says Sabbath. So you're not counting from any Sabbathons, you're counting from the Sabbath day. They were weekly Sabbath day. 7 Sabbaths. So from first fruits, 7 Sabbaths after that, 49 days. The morrow after that, first fruits. Pentecost. So that's why it's always going to fall on the first day of the week, because it's the morrow after the Sabbath. Go ahead.
Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall you number 50 days, and you shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahweh.
All right, we can stop right there. So you're going to offer a new meal offering, to be more specific. All right, so let's stop there. And then it says, you shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2 tenth deals. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baken with leaven. They are the first fruits unto
Where is that? Oh, that's
verse 17. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's regular lechem.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, so we can understand where you got this first fruit from. Where did you get it? In case there's any question of where you got your reshif of Bakor, the first of your first fruits, where you got it from. So if you understand where you get it from, then you understand that it don't belong to you. So for the conclusion, we're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And, you know, we try to talk to other assemblies about their holy days and try to reason with people why stuff is wrong, and they don't want to hear that. They want to do what they want to do. And I've been there. I've been part of some of these camps that, you know, just do what tradition, what they've been told, what their idol told them to do. The idol told them this is what you do. Your master should have been Yahweh. through Yahshua. And this word, what the word tells you to do, and you should have no problem defending your calendars, but they won't, most of these can't even put their calendars out. And the few that do put their calendars out, they won't talk to you how they calculate things. They won't have nothing in writing on Facebook or email or anything showing how they calculate it, because then I can easily go there, or anybody who follows these scriptures can point holes in it.
Yeah.
But what we do, we give you everything. We show you how we calculate everything. We put all our stuff out there, not because
we want the truth.
We so cocky. No, because we want to know if we did something wrong. We want the best of what Israel has to offer.
That's right.
So who's to say if you leading me in the path and I'm doing something wrong? It shows you in here. Yahweh gonna send a servant, just like he sent servants to Israelite gathering to show us we are wrong, and sent servants to come together to figure out what's the best way to do this according to all the information that we have.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 1. And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Mashiach. I have fed you with milk, and not with meat, for hitherto you were not able to bear it, neither yet now are you able.
And this is why when we teach what we teach, the conversations we have behind the scenes would be a little different, because we know who from experience through working with individuals, who can handle milk and who can handle meat. And that's why we stay away from certain topics in our teaching, not because we don't condone it or we don't deal with it, it's because it will cause the babes to choke on meat. We need to be experts at salvation, then moving forward. Go ahead. But perfect example. But if we just want a bunch of publicity, we want everybody to look at us, we want a bunch of views,
Pharisee said,
we'll go ahead and get into these topics that everybody gonna say something about. Let's do a class on multiple wives.
man,
Let's do a class on, on Esau, who's the white man, and let's do all those things that you're gonna get, and you can tell the people that are out there trying to get attention, because that's all they focus on.
that's for hate.
Is the Maury Povich, and that was
Yeah.
a lie. And you are not the father. Ooh,
Right.
and all that. We want all those things that's going to get
Yeah,
that
we want
attention,
fresh.
instead of feeding people with the milk that they need. If they got bread, if they got meat type questions, brothers will send you that in email, or we'll talk about it in person. Who are you really working for?
Verse 3. For you are yet carnal. For whereas there is among you envying and strife and divisions, are you not carnal and walk as men?
That's how you know there's carnality, when you got envy going on, strife and divisions. Go ahead.
For while one says, I am of Saul, and another, I am of Apollos.
I'm of this camp. Well, I'm of this camp. Well, this camp is the home of the truth. Oh, really?
Hey, where you gonna go?
You just lied about that, so I know I don't want to go there.
Are you not carnal? Who then is Saul, and who is Apollos, but ministers by whom you believed, even as the Master gave to every man?
Who is Yadon? Who's Yonatan? Who's Elder Mikael? We just men. That's it. We ain't nobody. Ain't no assembly of Yadon or assembly of Yonatan.
Nope.
Go ahead.
I have planted, Apollos watered, but Elohim gave the increase.
So that who gave you the increase? Yahweh gave you the increase. It don't belong to you.
Yes, stop bowing
You
down
can't
to
make your increase. You cannot produce increase. I don't care how master waterer you are, plants, or you plant it in the perfect place with sunlight. Yah will send a cloud over you. Yah will make a tree drop and block the sun. You don't have control over increase in man or in your produce and your first fruits. Yah gives that to you. So it does not belong to us. It is a privilege that he allows us to benefit from that. And furthermore, when he wants us to give the first fruits, he wants us to give it to the poor people. Give it to the people that need it the most. You gonna have all the blessings. I put it in your hold, in your control, so that you can divvy it out to other individuals. So let us keep that in mind. Yah adds the increase. So you didn't get that. He gave that to you. So we should give him the first of the first fruits of all our increase. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close in prayer? And again, if anybody is confused on how you get first fruits, it is the morrow after the Sabbath that precedes your unleavened bread. So we are in our 4th day of unleavened bread. That means tonight we're going to the 5th day, which means on Monday night was the last day of unleavened bread. Tuesday being the daytime, your regular weekly Shabbat that comes after that. The day after that is going to be your first fruits. That is according to the scriptures. And if you go to where we got a lot of our stuff in the Dead Sea Scrolls, where they have the ancient Paleo written and Aramaic written and ancient Shem written stuff, it shows you same calendar, same dates that we use. The only dispute is what's what, because we're using a Babylonian calendar. But at least you know the numbered day of the Hebrew month of Abib that these things are falling on. So if anybody has any questions or needs further clarification on how to calculate these holy days, just send us an email at israelitesgathering.com, or if you personal friends with Jonathan and I, just send us an email and we'll get together with the assembly and we'll make sure that we got you the best information that we can get. So let's go ahead and close in a prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. And all sisters pray with their heads fully covered. Jonathan, I think your phone is on.
Yeah.
We're using yours, right?
Yeah.
You put it way over there because I'll be loud, huh?
Nah, because I had to have it plugged in. I got a short cable.
Abba Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yasharal, we thank you once again, Yahweh, for bringing us into your holy Shabbat, Yahweh, as well as bringing us into the first feast days and the first holy days of the year. We thank you, Yahweh, for your mercy and your blessing throughout last year, bringing us into this new Shana, this new year, Yahweh. And we thank you for the fruit that you gave us throughout the year and allowing us to be able to provide, Yahweh, providing us an opportunity to make our offering before you on your days that you command, Yah. We ask, Yahweh, that you empower us, Yahweh, that you make us more fruitful, Yahweh, not for ourselves, Yahweh, to build big bank accounts or big spiritual accounts, but so that we may give back to your servants that just need a little help, Yahweh, a little mercy to get back on their feet, Yahweh. For you have blessed us, Yahweh, through any part of this captivity. We are blessed to be in this latter part, Yahweh, where we don't suffer as bad as our forefathers suffered, Yah. So we're thankful that you did not put us in a time where our forefathers suffered a greater burden for the decisions of our forefathers before us, Yah. So, Yah, we ask, Yahweh, that you put a mind in us, Yahweh, to understand the leaven that's working within us during this week of unleavened bread, Yah, so that we can remove these things. We also ask that you put a spirit around the brothers and sisters to work with one another, Yahweh, to be humble with one another and merciful with one another, so that we can come together and be the best that we can be as a nation and not as an individual, so that we can give glory and honor unto you, Yahweh. We ask, Yahweh, as we prepare to go into this Shabbat, this Shabbaton, this 7th day of unleavened bread, that we be able to have a feast that is honoring unto you, Yahweh, and we provide all that we have to offer in your honor. And we ask also, Yahweh, as we prepare to make this first fruits offering, Yahweh, that you make us fruitful, Yahweh, in all our doings, so that we can give you more of a sheaf offering, of a better first of a reshith of the Bakor. Yah, all these things we humbly come before you, and we make no demands. We ask these things humbly, Yahweh, so that we can honor you and glorify you. In the name of Yahshua HaMashiach, we thank and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Can you see that one up?